Welcome to the course on Advanced Power Electronics. We'll cover the lecture 3 today on power modules and gate circuits. Then starting from the gate driver circuit. The gate driver circuit, of course, it is interface between the control, which is on low power and high power electronic switch, and the functions of this amplification. It amplifies the control signal to the level required to drive the power switch, and of course the isolation. It also provides the isolation between power switch and logic level, and of course the complexity of driver circuit markedly among the different switches like MOSFET, IGBT drivers are simple, and GTO, BJT are complicated and little expensive. And if you look into a circuit of this IGBT gate driver circuit, so we have a control circuit which may consist of the DSP, and the signal goes to the driver circuit, which provide the isolation, as well as you can call it the enough amplification for the gate signal to trigger the or to get the IGBT signal of this power switch. So switching speed and on-state losses of a given control switch depends on how it is controlled. So it is important to design the proper driver circuit. Well, the functionality of gate or base driver circuit is a turn power switch from off state to on state, and when by turn on time through active region where the power dissipation is large, and provide adequate drive power to keep the power switch in on state. The turn power switch from on state to off state to minimize turn off time through active region where the power dissipation is large, and provide bias to ensure that power switch remains off. Well, the control power switch to protect it from over voltage or over current or sense, and signal processing circuit which generate the logic control signal not considered part of the driver circuit, and drive circuit amplifies the control signal to a level required to drive power switch, and drive circuit have significant power capability compared to the logic level signal processing circuit. So drive circuit topologies are output signal polarity, normally unipolar or bipolar, or it can be AC or DC coupled and connected in shunt or series with power switch. Now coming to typically drive circuit design consideration. So output current magnitude, the large IO on shorten the turn on time by lengthening turn off time delay time, and large I of shorten turn off time but lengthen the turn on delay time. So provisions for power switch protection for overcurrent, and typically the blanking time for bridge circuit to avoid the shoot through fault in these drive circuit. Another is a wave shaping to improve the switch performance. So controlled DIB by DT for BJT turn off, and anti-saturation diode for BJT drive, and speed up capacitors and front porch or back porch currents, and component layout to minimize the stray inductance and the shielding from the switching noise. These are the requirements. Coming to typical example of power MOSFETs, which is a high speed voltage control switch that allow us to operate above the 20 kHz, typically audible frequency range, which is more than 16 kHz. And this MOSFET have a typically drain gate source, and then when switch is closes, when VGS goes more than 4 volt, and opens when VGS is 0 volt. Well, of course, if desired, a series blocking diode can be inserted here to prevent reverse current, typically in many like a current source converter circuit where the reverse current can typically. So here the typically is n channel MOSFET equivalent circuit. So when we avoid the linear, of course, lossy region, the using only on off states. So you can call it MOSFET when it is on, it behave like a short circuit. Of course, the gate drive voltage normally preferred to be 12 volts so that it goes directly into saturation. And when MOSFET is off, we keep the VGS equal to 0 so that the device is fully off. So here, of course, these power electronics devices we use as a switch, either on or fully on or off. Ideally, there should not be any voltage drop when switch is on, and there should not be any current flow through when device is off. So, but however, you can call it like if you want to switch quickly to minimize the switching losses, so you can see how the VDS, the voltage across the MOSFET, increases from 0 to during turn off period to typically the full VDS applied voltage, and the current goes from the current which was flowing through the device decided by external circuit like load circuit, it goes from that value to 0, and then that period we call it the delta T off, and during this period you can say the energy level which is shown here with the blue color, it goes reasonably higher for every energy lost per turn off. The reason being that current is also high, voltage is also high, which is multiplication here. So during turn off period, this loss is substantial. And similarly, the loss during turn on, when you really device switch on, the VDS goes 0. It does not go quickly, so it goes during the turn on, delta T on, and current builds up from 0 to the desired current, and then energy loss here also is substantial, as you can see. These two losses cannot be neglected. However, if period is less of turn on, turn off, these losses can be reduced. But these losses are substantial because device passes through the amplification range during these two periods. So turn off and turn on ratio limit the frequency of operation because there some may be considered less than the period of T of 1 by T, and typically you're considering, for example, the turn off period. As you can see, we already explained how the energy goes, and energy lost during turn off is proportional to V into I into delta TF. So we want to keep this turn off or turn on times as small as possible to reduce this losses. So more often we switch, the more energy loss areas we experience per second, and thus the switching losses average watt are proportional to the switching frequency F, V and I, and delta T off and delta T on. So, and of course, there are conduction losses that are proportional to the square of I. So the I, of course, for the electrical isolation for these drivers or gate drives or base drive, the isolation is required to prevent damage on the high power switch to propagate back to low power electronics, and normally optocoupler shown below or high frequency magnetic material like a pulse transformer for case of thyristor are used. So you can see how it is optocoupler, that we give the pulse for light emitting diodes, and on the secondary side is the base and collector which amplify the signal for the driver circuit. Of course, you need the power supply on the isolated side also to amplify the signal to reasonably so that the base or current get either voltage or current is enough to drive your device, whether it is a voltage operated device or current operated device. So many standard driver chips have built-in isolation. So for example, TLP250 from Toshiba, HP3150 from Hewlett Packard use optocoupler isolation in the gate driver circuit. The power semiconductor devices can be categorized into three types based on their control input requirement. The first is the current driver driven devices like bipolar junction and this MDs and GTO, and voltage driven devices like MOSFET, IGBT and MCD, and pulse driven devices like thyristor and TRIAX. So of course accordingly their gate drives are or base drives are also designed. So typically for current driven devices like BJT, we have a signal from control signal, and then of course we have to, for of course making it on and off, I mean when we have to make this the on off, then this signal of course you have amplifying stage so that we get a current amplification to provide the base drive to the BJT, because the gain of the BJT during saturation is not very high, so you need a substantial base current, and then it goes to typically you can call it the this, and of course the I0 is the really the load current which decided by external circuit flowing through this your power BJT. So power BJT devices have low current gain due to the constructional consideration. Leading current than would normally be expected for a given load or collector current, and the main problem with this circuit is the slow turn of time, which increases the losses, of course, because the turn of time of transistor is quite substantial, and along with the gating circuit goes further increase. And typically here, if you look into what really you have a two options for this purpose of isolation. The one by you can get an optocoupler, which normally preferred for level based devices like MOSFET, BJT or IGBT. Another is the pulse isolation by the pulse transformer, which normally preferred for like a pulse triggered devices and the pulse transformer works satisfactorily if your pulse duration is quite short, order of 4 to 10 micro, order of 10 to 20 microsecond only for turning on period and remaining turn off. So normally pulse transformer are designed typically around 30 kilohertz to reduce the size of this transformer life. And then after that the signal get amplified and by the driver circuit and then applied for the power switch. Of course, we have isolated power supply at its shown here. The DC supply for amplification. This, of course, for case of pulse transformer, we may not need a separate power supply. The enough energy or power may be there for turning on the thyristor family like or track like. But in case of the optical application, secondary side, of course, we need the power supply which provided by either main frequency transformer isolation is shown, or we normally use the switch mode power supply of low power rating about order of like a typically 1 to 5 watt, which are enough to drive the individual switch like, and they are all isolated for every switch depends on the configuration of the power circuit. So typical example here is for gate drive circuit for thyristor. So we normally prefer the pulse transformer here, and of course we have a couple of resistance for the protection and current limiting features. And of course these transformer, we have a normally pulse duration order of duty cycle about 20 to 40%, so that transformer does not saturate. This pulse transformer does not saturate. Of course the pulse width of around 10 microsecond is enough. So you can call it like a pulse transformer is used for isolation, and RF is the limit for gate current, and normally a pulse width of 10 microsecond with amplitude of 50 milliampere is sufficient to turn on the thyristor. It is quite common to fire the thyristor with successive pulses to ensure the power turn on, and it is not possible to turn off the thyristor with above circuit. So of course you know the because of the property of the thyristor you can turn on, but it cannot be turned off by the pulses. It has to be turned off only from the power circuit by applying either the reverse voltage or the reverse current. Like that's the reason in thyristor, in case of AC circuit, it gets naturally commuted or line commuted, or but in case of the DC circuit, we have to provide a separate commutation circuit. Like coming to example of simple MOSFET driver. In case of MOSFET driver, we of course have a control from pulse. You can call it a optocoupler circuit like LM311 for the isolation, and then we have a power supply for purpose of amplification, as you can see here, and then apply for the MOSFET like. So note here the MOSFET requires a VGS of 15 volt for turn on and 0 volt for turn off. LM311, a simple amplifier with open collector Q1 as it is shown here, and when B1 is high, Q1 conduct and VGS is pulled to ground and MOSFET is off. So when B1 is low, Q1 will be off, so VGS is pulled to VGG. If VGS is set up to 15 volt, then MOSFET turns on. So now gate driver design techniques. So typically we have to reduce IR, diode reverse recovery current, by reducing the di by dt, which means increasing the gate series resistances, and reduce VC over voltage by reducing the di by dt and balancing gate timing and voltage sharing among the series connected IGBT. In both cases, need to better independent control of di by dt and dv by dt to optimize the gate driver for speed, minimum losses and reliability. So typical example of a two-stage gate driver circuit, as you can see here, typically. So to reduce the, here it's used for to reduce the reverse recovery current and the VC over voltage that we discussed earlier, and to turn on we keep the IGO2 much lesser than RG on, which are shown here in the figure, and stage 2 is off initially, and see gate charged. So RG on large resistance to keep the IRR small. After diode has recovered, the stage to turn on triggered by the V reference in comparator, and our resistance is low. RG on it almost becomes parallel in RG on, which comes quite smaller. In this two-stage gate driver circuit. And typically here the RG of for the turning of this, in case of this gate driver circuit, so RG of 2 is much smaller than RG of 1, and stage 1 and 2 is on initially for the rapid discharge of C gate, and RG of in parallel to RG of, which is much smaller than typically RG of 2, and when C has risen to DC link voltage, the stage 2 turns off, and our resistance RG of 1 reduces current fall rate, and after VC is settled, stage 2 turns on, and after again to ensure a small driver impedance and prevent against dV by dt induced turn on. And this typically GCT gate drive circuit you look into. We already talked about that GCT require a large gate pulse for turning off. So here it is some of the typically how large energy required for GCT to, with the diverse circuit board, large energy, and that's a region 36 electrolyte capacitors. The 21 MOSFET are used here for the typically of this GCT of 4.5 kV and 4 kiloampere. And here it is the another example of 4.5 kilovolt and 800 ampere. And of course, coming to IGBT gate driver circuit, of course, IGBT is a level trigger device with voltage operated device, and typical IGBT and gate driver circuit are shown here. So you can just see how the typically the 400 ampere and 3.3 kilovolt dual package large rating have a module shape which is in the size of 4 inch by into 4.5 inches, and high typically medium voltage IGBT dual gate driver circuit. Each board have a 2 driver circuit for driving the 2 IGBT and to getting for 2 IGBT. Then IGET, the gate driver circuit, injection enhanced insulated gate bipolar transistor. So IGET gate driver circuit, you can just typically see how it looks like, and typically size also for the rating of 4.5 kilowatt and 4 kiloampere. Now for the calculating the reliability of gate drivers, because gate drivers are of course the most volatile component, because we use the typically here even the your electrolytic capacitor as well as film capacitor. So large number of components are there, so reliability is very important. So you can just see how the typically the reliability of IGCT as well as IGET is shown here in the which case failure per million hours like. Now coming to power devices losses. So power device losses generally voltage across the device, X current through the device, and power loss in the device is typical voltage and current through the device. And two category of device loss are losses during turn on and turn off, which we already discussed earlier. And for minimizing the these losses, we must have a faster switching and equals area under the voltage ampere product curve. And second is losses during conduction. So these are minimized by reducing the device forward drop and equal. These are it's equal to forward voltage into current through it. And you can see that typically these typically complete losses in power devices as a complete switching loss. You can just see during turning on how the losses are shown in the last below curve as a orange curve. Typically the voltage across the during the turn on, how the current goes as forward current through the device as current increases, and then during turn on remain constant, and then current falls during the turn off, and how the voltage across the device first initially large and then reduces to low voltage, very small drop, and then in case of further too large when device is turned off. And you can see the losses how during turn on and turn off losses are higher, much higher than the conduction losses. So this is the way you can, these are the losses how it appears for one switching operations of the device, means during turn on, during conduction, during turn off. So now typically power device switching losses, that's current of IGCT and voltage switch across the medium voltage IGBT. So you can see it here through IGCT of 750 and IGBT of 800 ampere, how the losses are there. And you can say total switching loss, joule loss per pulse. In case of IGCT is 14.15 and in case of IGBT is 2.94. Typically the watt like. So here it is 5 to 1 higher switching loss in case of IGBT compared to the medium voltage IGBT. Now typically you can say power switch or during on state losses in IGCT and medium voltage DC, you can clearly see how the current as well as the typically the here the current in case of the two devices, how it is just moving. So in case of 750 IGBT, as it is given example, the forward voltage is 4.5 to 4.75. However, in case of your 800 medium voltage IGBT is 3.35 to 4.5. That is responsible for the really the losses between in these two devices. Now coming to of course the power switch voltage and current rating. The power switch voltage and current rating depends on continuous current rating, forward reverse voltage block, which affects the number of power devices and device and system reliability. The higher device voltage rating means few devices are needed to match the load voltage rating, and higher current rating means the few devices can be used without requiring paralleling. So trade-off is using fewer and higher voltage rated devices gives output waveform fewer levels with large voltage range, and for greater than 4 kilovolt kilowatt drive, this requires a large output capacitors, and you can see 5 level for 4 kilovolt output voltage, no sine filter is required, and here 3 level 400, then large sine filter is needed. You can say a kind of the waveform. So it's give you a concept of kind of multi-level like also. So now typically coming to final comparison and conclusion for these two. So current switch devices like IGCT and IGCT require many more parts in firing getting control than the voltage switch devices like IGBT and IGET, and voltage switch devices like IGBT IGET have much lower switch losses than the current switch, and conduction losses are nearly equal for equivalent volt and ampere rated device for SGGT, IGCT versus IGBT and IG. And voltage switch devices allow higher switching rates and can give better output waveform. And typically coming to an example of MOSFET, then again for the gate driver circuit, so we have again the signal form control, and then there is a optocoupler. So LM331 is this you can call it the this chip which have a on secondary side transistor and primary side of this photodiode, and then of course this signal at the output is amplified with the help of this power supply of VGG, and then with the limiting resistances it applies to the gate drive, gate of the final MOSFET as it's shown in the figure. So in this MOSFET gate driver circuit, note that MOSFET requires VGS 15 volt for turn on and 0 volt for turn off, and LM331 simple amplification with the optocoupler output, and when B1 is high, Q conducts, and VGS is pulled ground, MOSFET is off. When B1 is low, Q1 will be off, and VGS pulled to VGG. If VGS is set to 15 volt, then MOSFET turn on, and effectively the power to turn on the MOSFET comes from external power supply VGG as it is shown. So typically in case of thyristor, for the isolation we use the pulse transformer as it is shown here, but of course as you see the pulse, the duration of the pulse normally with the 40% duty cycle, so that transformer does not saturate, and we don't need the separate power supply, that the output power itself should be enough to drive the gate circuit, because we require hardly from around 30 to 50 milliampere for normal rating up to 100 ampere thyristors like. So advantage here is no separate power supply, and the transformer when you design for 30 to 40 kilohertz for the pulse duration of 10 microseconds to turn on, so you can have even size of the pulse transformer quite small. And of course for isolation with the optocoupler, so you have a photodiode and you have the transistor with the amplifier using for this optocoupler. Normally this optocoupler are used, I have already talked about in MOSFET level typical devices like IGBT, and of course pulse transformer is used in thyristor and triac. So typical example need for isolation here as gate driver circuit, as you can see here the a half bridge typically, so and the isolated power supply also how it is created also. So the negative half cycle of PS positive DC rail to safety ground potential, and T emitter potential large and negative gate with respect to the safety and control ground, and positive half cycle negative DC rail for safety ground potential, and T plus emitter substantially positive and especially pure ground if transistor is off. So variation in emitter potentials with respect to the safety and logic ground means that the electrical isolation of emitters from the logic ground is needed here like. And typically for this you can say where we are using optocoupler, and we have a isolated power supply as shown below, of course with the power frequency transfer, but normally sometimes we use this here the high frequency with the from the DC source, we use the DC-DC isolated converter for the purpose, and then you have a optocoupler, then you have a limiter, and followed by the remaining protection along with the power supply which gives the this signal, typically for this half bridge of the transistors like. Then the typically transformer coupled BJT, so we also use sometimes this high frequency transformer as I already mentioned, which called like a pulse transformer, which can also give the power signal as well as provide the typically the signal to go through it. So lower is little higher rating which gives the power supply, higher one is the passes the signal and give the final signal to the this typically the base drive. The transistor needs certainly high current, so it's a high current is required for the transistor which is shown in the waveform. And this is optocoupler isolation port typically for the MOSFET, so you can say isolation and separate power supply required for amplification of the signal which is isolated from the this optocouplers like. So isolated drive without auxiliary power supply, optional flyback BJT as it is shown here. So here T1 is on and IP equal to V by RP and Q1 is off and T1 is off. The stored energy is the gap transformer core induced positive voltage current pulse IB and QSW causing it to go through active and collector current begins to flow. I mean device is turned on and region is kind of transformer connection supply a base current IB equal to N3 IC by N2 and which keeps QSW on even with IP equal to 0 and T1 turn on and positive current IP causes the base current. So IB equal to NCI2 N2 minus I1 IP N2 into QSW. So initially IP is quite large. IP positive equal to B into IB1 0 or so QSB turn off and circuit design must ensure the turn off IB has adequate negative magnitude and duration and best suited for high frequency operation and low volt ampere volt second requirement of transformer, also best suited for limiting variation in duty cycle. Then typically overprotection of the gate drive circuit, which typically as you can see here, so find typically the C one diode drop across VC when BJT is on and overcurrent will increase VC if the potential of the thus the potential at C. If C rises above the threshold value, then the control signal is biased BJT on and overcurrent protection block will turn off the BJT. To conserve the design will keep BJT off until a manual reset is kept on. So this provides the overcurrent protection. Overcurrent protection inherently in this divert circuit. Now coming to these are the gate drive circuit and now coming to the snubber circuit and heatsink. The snubber circuit are used for protection. Of course, heatsink is to limit the thermal design like typically powered. So need for protection in power semiconductor devices, why it is required for reliable operation of device specified rating should not be exceeded. But in practice, the device may be subjected to overvoltage or overcurrent and during turn off di by dt may be prohibitively large and there may be false triggering by high value of dy by dt and a spurious signal across the gate cathode terminal may lead to unwanted turn on and the device must be protected against all such abnormal conditions for satisfactory and reliable operation of thyristor SCR silicon control circuit and the equipment. And the object of this section is to discuss various techniques adopted for protection of these silicon control rectifier. Now, typically coming to power semiconductor devices are commonly protected against overcurrent and rate change of current di by dt, voltage spike or overvoltage or dy by dt protection, the gate under voltage, or overvoltage at gate, excessive temperature rise and electrostatic discharge. So these are, we have to protect against all these phenomena. So coming to first like BI for the di by dt protection, so if the rate rise of the anode current, that is di by dt is large as compared to the spread velocity of carrier, the local hot spot will be formed near the gate connection on account of high current density and this localized heating may destroy the thyristor. So therefore the rate rise of the anode current at the time of turn on must be kept below the specified limiting value. The value of di by dt can be maintained below acceptable limit by using the small inductor called di by dt inductor or in series with the anode current and typically di by dt limit value for SCR are 20 to 500 microsecond ampere per microsecond depending upon the different rating of the silicon control rectifier or thyristor. The local spot heating can also be avoided by ensuring the conduction spreads to the whole area as rapidly as possible. So this can be achieved by applying a gate current nearer to but never greater than the maximum specified gate current. Now coming for dV by dt protection, so if the rate rise of forward voltage dV by dt is high, the charging current I will be more and this charging current play the role of gate current and turn off on the thyristor SCR even when gate signal is 0 and such phenomena of turn on of a thyristor called the dV by dt turn on must be avoided as it leads to false operation of the thyristor circuit. So for controllable operation of thyristor, the rate rise of the forward anode to cathode voltage must be kept below the specified limit and typically value of dV by dt are again 20 to 500 volt per microsecond. So fast turn on of thyristor by large EVYT can be prevented by using a snubber circuit in parallel with the device which limits the to rate rise of the voltage across the device. So now coming to overview of snubber circuit for hard switch converters. The function to protect the semiconductor devices by the snubber, so limiting the device voltage during the turn on turn off, limiting the device current during turn on tangents, and limiting the rate rise of d by dt of current through the semiconductor devices and at device turn on, and limiting the rate rise of the dv by dt of the voltage across the semiconductor device at device turn off or during forward blocking voltage, and shaping the switching trajectory of the device as it turns on or off. So now coming to hard switch, as it's shown in the diagram of I and V. V is voltage across the device and current is through the device. So you can see how it is really through the soft switching a very small, it takes very small time and goes to very low losses, and where the hard switch, you can say the dotted, it takes really a large current and large voltage, so losses are increased, and you can say with the snubber how it is getting molded, turning on, turning off, as it is on the in between the two cases. Like the hard switching refers to the stressful switching behavior of the power electronic devices, and during the turn on and turn off times, the power device has to withstand high voltage and current simultaneously, resulting in a high switching losses and stresses. And DC passive numbers are usually added to the power circuit so that dV by dt and dI by dt of the power devices could be reduced. So the switching loss and stresses are diverted to the passive number circuits. So there are mainly two coming to as a classification of numbers. So there are mainly two types of classification of numbers: the active snubber and passive numbers. The active numbers can importantly reduce the switching loss, thus include the transistor and other active switches that often imply extra circuitry. Well, the disadvantage of active snubbers are, but they need extra circuit to control the active switch, making more complex circuit when which are not appropriate to all applications, and they increase the complexity of controlling these elements. And passive snubbers, the passive snubbers are relatively simple to design, and they can reduce the switching losses. And passive snubbers are limited to resistor, capacitors, and inductor and diodes. So now passive snubbers are classified again in two types: the dissipative passive snubbers and non-dissipative passive snubbers. So if energy is stored in snubbers is dissipated in resistance, the snubber is called this as a dissipative. If the energy is moved back to the input or output, the snubber is called classified as non-dissipative. The another kind of classification of the snubber circuit is like polarized and non-polarized snubbers. A snubber can be classified as polarized and non-polarized depending on the direction of energy move or in out of the snubber. So here the classification of non-dissipative snubber circuit, typically in resonant DC-DC converter. One is a classical converter by passive modulator, series resonant and parallel resonant, and quasi-resonant is a constant frequency operation, variable frequency operation, and then multi-resonant converter for constant frequency and variable frequency operation. So you require different kind of non-dissipative snubbers in all these operations. So coming to again for type of dissipative snubber circuit, so unpolarized snubber RC snubbers used to protect diodes and thyristor, and polarized RC snubbers used as turn-off snubbers to save the turn-on switching trajectory of control switches, and used as over voltage snubbers to clamp voltage applied to control switches to save value and limiting dV by dt during the device turn off. And polarized LR snubbers used as a turn off snubbers to save the turn off switching trajectory of the control switches and limit dI by dt during the device turn on. So typical example of unpolarized snubber as a simple series RC circuit across this back-to-back thyristor, and of course there is a small inductor for limiting the currents in that. But the it is unpolarized snubber in the sense that the voltage can be applied from any polarity across it. Like then this is a typically forward polarized snubber, as you can see, because of the diode added here, so it will just only can charge the capacitor typically in one direction. So it, because this R1 is much larger than R, so that makes it to forward polarized snubber. Then again turn on, turn off for the thyristor, so you can have a snubber typically across the, how it is across the, typically the snubber across the devices like and then the reverse polarized. So with the diode changing the diode polarity, we have a reverse polarity snubber across the thyristor. Then the turn off snubbers for transistors. So you can just see how it is across the transistor when device is turning off, how it comes into the picture to avoid the typically the rate rise voltage across the transistor with the polarized because of diode and capacitors and typically kind of the resistor. And similarly turn off snubbers for transistors. Like similarly for over voltage snubbers for transistors. So I mean this you can see with the resistance, capacitance and diodes how this snubber work up to avoid the over voltage across the snubber. So this of course this capacitors and diode will make sure that it does not go typically the voltage across the transistor much higher than, otherwise because of history inductance it can go much higher, like. But of course the capacitor charging, it will really limit the avoiding the over voltage across. Then turn off snubber for the MOSFET. So it's a simple RC circuit across the MOSFET. Then the snubbers for GTO, you can see across the GTO how it is the polarized snubber for turn off. I mean, so it will come a turn off because of the diode into operation. And above is the turn on snubber. Like. So coming to now, these are with the snubber circuit. So now coming to as a numerical examples. So come with the first numerical example, the gate characteristic 1200 volt, 700 ampere. Thyristor has the form VGK 10 IG, 10 IG, and calculate the value of the gate drive source resistance RG if the allowable peak current dissipation is 150 watt and the gate source voltage is VGK 30 volt and the value of gate resistance. So the all data we are given, so we can calculate the power in the gate VGK IG. So putting the value, it comes as equal to 3.872 ampere, and from which we can calculate the RG, VG minus VG divided by RG, GK, and it comes 2.252 ohm. Say coming to second numerical problem, a thyristor is triggered by pulse train of 25 kilohertz. The duty ratio of the pulse train is 0.4. If allowable average gate power 10 ampere, calculate the maximum allowable gate power. So here the frequency is given 25 kilohertz, duty ratio 0.4, average power 10 watt. So P average equal to Pk, T on upon T off. So that is P into Kd. Putting the value, it comes, peak power comes around 10 by 0.4, that's a 25 watt. Now coming to third numerical problem, a power MOSFET modulates power from DC supply, whose voltage Vs equal to 120 volt to feeding a resistive load, where value of load is R equal to 5 ohm, or a gate drive voltage of VGS 10 volt. The on resistance between the drain to source, RDS on is 0.06 ohm. If the MOSFET is on for long duration, determine the power dissipated in the MOSFET due to conduction if the supply is considered ideal. Their data is given Vs equal to 120 volt, R equal to 5 ohm, RDS on 0.06 ohm and VGS 10 volt. So IDS will be 120 by, I mean both resistance will be added. So 120 by 0.06, so it comes 23.7 ampere, and power loss I square R will be your 33.74 watt. Coming while being the reverse bias source of 1000 volt, the reverse leakage current of diode is measured to 1 milliampere at the junction temperature of 200 degrees Celsius. The load is 10 ohm. Resistors, calculate the parameters of the diode in reverse bias and the power dissipated by the diode. You can just see how it go to the characteristic in A, B, C block, and based on that we can have a calculation, the model from the figure. So V equal to minus 1000 volt, ID equal to minus 1 milliampere, and R equal to 10 ohm. So the DF is open circuit and DR is short circuit. The driving point resistance are one of the circuits, so this condition is R I equal to Vs upon ID, so it comes typically 1 mega ohm, and Ri equal to R plus Rr. So considering the diode parameter, so Rr equal to Ri minus R, that comes 1.1 mega ohm at 200 Celsius, and power dissipated in the diode is PD equal to ID square Rr, that is 1 watt. Thus this value is a small compared to the conduction loss. So if forward direction of the conduction is PD equal to VDID, that's around 1 into 100, that's a 100 watt. Coming to numerical problem 4, consider the circuit diagram shown in below. The source voltage is 200 volt and the resistor load 4 ohm. For this condition, the thyristor have a delay time T equal to 0.5 microsecond and the write time TRI 3 microsecond at turn on. The thyristor leakage current is I equal to 2 milliampere and on state voltage of VTH 1.5 volt. Estimate the component of energy loss incurred in the thyristor during turn on. Compare the turn on loss with the thyristor loss during the on stood over the equivalent interval. So you can see the waveform here as we apply the gate pulse from this source in A circuit, and how the voltage goes down and current builds up during that, and how the losses P equal to VTH into IA is shown in the figure here. So we can have a calculation based on that. The thyristor loss during the delay interval is WD equal to VSIT 80 into TD. So 200 into 2 into 10 power minus 3 into 0.5 into 10 power 9. So thyristor loss during write time is WC equal to Vs into Is divided by T time, and putting the value it comes 5000 microjoule, and the total loss W equal to WD plus WC, that's 0.2 into plus 500 into 10 power minus. So delay time loss is so small it can be neglected. While the thyristor is in the on state, it conducts 49.6 ampere and has a voltage of 1.5 volt. The on state energy loss over the interval of 3 microseconds will be W equal to 0 to TRI VTH IA into DI, and putting this value it comes to 23 microjoules. So the energy is small but not insignificant. The total thyristor loss depends on the duration of conduction. Coming to numerical problem 5, a 10 kilovolt DC source supply a load whose power is modulated by thyristor. So available thyristor are rated at 1 kilovolt and 1000 ampere. What is the value of the parallel connected resistors RHS to form the voltage divider to for the voltage sharing? So we know that 1 kilovolt thyristors in series will not block a voltage of 10 kilovolt because of the slight difference in IV characteristics. So even if a resistive voltage divider were used, we do not want too many thyristors in series because that increases the cost. So let us choose a n equal to 14. It could be well have been n equal to 13 or n 15. So information about the leakage current have not been given. So the latching current is about 1/1000th of the relay current, and the leakage current is about 1/1000th of the latching current. So therefore an estimate of leakage current is around 1 milliampere. So then RSH equal to NV1 minus Vs divided by n minus 1 into IA leakage. So putting the value it comes 307 ohm, and now Vs minus Vs1 or equal to n minus V2. So V2 comes around 692 volt. So hence ISH2 is V2 upon ISH. Putting value it comes 2.26 milliampere. So it appears that the current in the resistor must be more than twice the value of thyristor leakage current to swamp the leakage effect. So coming to now numerical problem 6. Design a BJT based drive circuit with the configuration of given figure below here that has a spike of 1 ampere at the turn on and maintains phase current of 0.2 ampere. In the on state, the voltage Vi is in a pulse of 0 to 15 volt with the 50% duty ratio, and the switching frequency is 100 kilohertz. So assume that VB is 0.9 volt when the transistor is on. You can clearly see that how the Vi is applied and the IB current goes through, and the Vs the transistor work as a typically kind of in series with the load. So value R1 determined from the initial current spike. So R1 equal to Vi minus VB divided by AB1. Putting value it comes 14.1 ohm. So steady state base current in the on state R2 equal to Vi minus VB upon IB2. So putting the value it comes minus R1. So it comes 56.4 ohm. So value of C determined from the required time constant over a 50% duty ratio at 100 kilohertz. The transistor is on for 1 microsecond. Let the time for the transistor to be 5 times the 5 time constant, that is 1 microsecond. So tau equal to Re into C. So putting a value R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2 equal to C. 11. C equal to 1 microsecond. So it comes C equal to 88.7 nanofarad. Now coming to numerical problem 7. The converter and the number in figure shown below has a 100 volt and IL equal to 5 ampere. The switching frequency is 100 kilohertz with a duty ratio of 50%, and the transistor turns of 0.5 second. A. Determine the turn of losses without number if the transistor voltage reaches V in 0.1 second. Design a number that using a criterion that the transistor voltage reaches its final value at the same time that transistor current reaches 0. Determine the transistor turn of losses and the resistor power and the number added as shown in the figure. So coming to the solution, the turn of voltage current and instance power waveform without this number are shown in the figure as you saw below. The transistor reaches 100 volt while the current is still at 5 ampere, resulting in a peak instance power of 100 into 5, that is 500 watt. The base power of the triangle is 6 milli microseconds, so making the area equal to 0.5 into 5 into 0.6 into that comes 150 microjoule. So switching period 1 by F, that is 1 upon 100 kilohertz. So turn of power losses in the W upon T, it comes like a 15 watt. So it can be calculated as shown here. PQ equal to 1/2 IL into V S into TS plus TF into F, and putting the value it comes 15 watt. So number capacitance can be calculated is equal to ILTF upon 2Vs. Putting a value, it comes like a 12.5 nanofarad. So switching frequency 100 kilohertz corresponding to the switching period of 10 microseconds. So the on time for the transistor is approximately one half of the period, that's a 5 microseconds. So resistance value is then R much lesser than T on upon 5C, so it comes 80 ohm. The resistance value is not critical, so since 5 times time constant is the conservative design, so resistance need not to be exactly 80 ohm. So power absorbed by the transistor determine PQ equal to IL square TF square into F upon 24C. Putting value comes 2.08 watt. Now power absorbed by the number resistance is determined as PR equal to half CV square into F. Putting value comes 6.25 watt. So total power due to turn off losses with this number is 2.08, 6.25 and 8.22 watt reduced from the 15 watt without this number. The losses in the transistor are significantly reduced by this number, and total turn off losses are also reduced in this case. Now coming to numerical problem 8, the figure illustrates the transfer characteristic pertaining to active region and the steady state IV characteristic pertaining to ohmic region of 200 volt 20 ampere power MOSFET switch. If the MOSFET remodulate power from DC supply 150 volt to resistive load of 7.3 ohm, determine the A transistor on resistance RDS on, BS number value of the gate voltage VGS to maintain the MOSFET in the on state and the off state conduction losses of the MOSFET. So here you can see the how current will deduct with the VGS and how it is the drain current and source voltage increases. So now coming to the calculation, RDS on in the inverse of the slope of the VDS characteristic. So that is RDS on equal to 4 upon 20, that is 0.2 ohm, and load current IL is given by IL equal to VS upon RDS 1 plus RL, that is 155.2 into plus 7.3, that's 20 ohm ampere. The value of the power dissipated by the MOSFET while it is on, PD equal to ID square RDS on, so that comes 80 watt. So compared to this 3000 watt delivered for the 90% or 97% efficiency, so the condition for the MOSFET to operate in ohmic region is VDS much smaller VGS minus threshold. From the transfer characteristic, the value of threshold gate voltage is VGS equal to 3 volt. From the IV characteristic at ID equal to 20 ampere, the voltage of VDS across the transistor is VDS equal to 4 volt. So according to the value of the gate voltage obtained from the condition, so VGS is much larger than VDS plus VGS, that is 4 plus 0.3, that's 7 volt. The suitable value of VGS would be typically the 10 volt. Coming to numerical problem 9, if the fully controlled 3-phase thyristor bridge is operating in the inverting mode with the angle of firing advance of 30 degree, if the supply voltage is 400 volt line to line RMS and the reactance of 0.25 ohm phase, determine the maximum current that can be commuted allowing the required 5 degree at the drop. So alpha equal 30, VLL 400, XS 0.25 and mu equal to, so ID equal to VM1 cos alpha minus cos alpha plus mu, and putting this value ID comes 161 ampere. Coming to numerical problem 10, a 3-phase fully controlled bridge converter operating as a line commutator inverter to feed battery power 10 kilovolt from 400 DC to AC 3-phase for 15 volt line to line 50 Hz. A large inductor is included in series with the battery which have a resistance of 0.5 ohm. Calculate the DC link current, power loss, and in the DC link resistor, thyristor RMS current, and RMS AC mains current, power factor, and firing rate. So solution is P equal to 10 kilo ohm, B equal to 400 volt, 3 phase for 50 Hz, and R equal to 0.5 ohm. So ID is typically from power divided by voltage, that's 25 ampere, and calculating the ID is current to R, that's comes 312.5, and VD comes as a 400 plus into that resistance drop, so 412.5, and putting this value alpha comes 42.58, and then the ITH RMS is 25 by root 3, 14.14 ampere, and IRMS is root 2 upon root 3 into 25, that's 20.414 ampere, and power factor is cos alpha into 3 by 5, that comes 0.703. Now these are the solved problems which you can solve on the same basis, and these are the references which we have followed for this lecture, and thank you very much, and thank you.